My name is Gurinder Chadha. I have made 8 feature films, including Bend It Like Beckham and Bargee on the Beach, Bride and Prejudice, Viceroy's House. This is my first venture back into TV after a long time, and I am thrilled to be making a long-running 6-part TV series so I can really get into the stories and the characters and have all the twists and turns that only a sort of 6 times 1 hour episodes will give you.
Director Saab, first day.
First day.
How are you feeling?
Look, we're blooming to hit the ground running, aren't we? Always. Follow me through to the set. I was inspired to write Beecham House with Paul, my partner, after working on our movie Viceroy's House. We spent a lot of time researching the history of the end of the British Raj for that movie. We decided that we would like to explore that world further, and so I came up with the idea of Beecham House as a vehicle to go back to the early days, pre the Raj, and look at that very key relationship between Britain and India, and re-examine it from my perspective, as opposed to from the perspective of the history books, perhaps that I had when I was growing up. So we're about to do rehearsal, which I'm going to go and watch, so come with me. A lot of the early scripts and early storylines were also devised by Shahrukh Hussain, who's a dear friend of mine for many years, but also a historian and an author.
Gurinder had been to a meeting, and obviously sitting there, she had this great brainwave. So she tumbled out of the meeting and she was on the phone and she said, "Shah, I've got a brilliant idea. How about a Downton-type film set in India?" I thought, yeah, that's a great idea.
John Beecham, I forbid you to leave this house again.
I think being British Indian, that combination, is a huge part of my storytelling. I'm always trying to explore my own history, my own identity, my own past.
Maya and Chanchal will sleep here. Bamnal will attend to them.
With a historical show, I think it's important to get the political context right, but also a lot of the sort of cultural practices and the architectural details. So we have sort of worked hard at doing that. William Dalrymple, the historian who we're working with, he's been really fantastic. This is the fabulous courtyard, one of the courtyards in Beecham House, here in London, Ealing. The rest will be shot in India. We have worked really hard to give this show scale. I'm doing a lot of shots that are very cinematic on a TV schedule, and that's tough. We have 12 days per episode. In a movie, I have, 2 months, 3 months sometimes. So I'm still trying to bring my filmmaker's aesthetic to a TV series. So I do find myself trying to be sort of over-ambitious sometimes with crane shots and, other shots.
I'll pan them into the centre of this.
Into the centre of that, yeah. The most important thing is casting. And I am so blessed with my cast, because I have a great leading man in Tom Bateman, who is so conscientious and so ruggedly handsome, but also incredibly sensitive, and is able to take a note and just deliver.
Your Imperial Highness, I am humbled by your presence and your land.
I think the diversity of the show is something I've certainly never seen before. We are really embracing the rich cultures there. Really saying, what was it to be Indian? This rich, rich culture. Let's not ignore it. Let's use it and seep ourselves in it. And the wonderful clash that happens with the rich English culture versus the Indian culture, and then there's French in there as well. And I think that sort of diversity is absolutely fascinating.
I think one of the main things that attracted me to the script and the story and the project was Gurinder herself. I'm really confident that this is a world that she can write amazingly about. She knows it inside out and is really passionate about it.
I've never gone with
this sort of a project, it's either been archetypally Indian or an outside-in perspective. But I think this is somewhere in between. And that's the beauty of working with someone like Gurinder, who understands Indian culture so intricately in a way that a lot of directors that are British may not.
Mr. Beecham, this is my daughter, Roshanara, and her teacher, Miss Osmond.
Beecham House is quite unlike most period dramas. It serves the female characters really well. Certainly more than half of the characters are Indian, which I think is quite unusual for any show, let alone for a period drama. Nobody is sidelined. Everybody has a well-rounded, defined character. Everyone has a real purpose within the story. I just think it's quite progressive in a way. And the fact that Gurinder is at the helm of it is great because she has such integrity and such passion to tell these stories and to tell them in the right way.
The only thing about that is down there was blocks as you came through the door there. The rest of it was great. The whole point of coming to India to film is to take advantage of the magnificent locations. So with Beecham House, we have found a beautiful building, which is a heritage hotel in Jaipur. And we've been shooting there for the front of Beecham House because it affords us a beautiful carriageway for coaches to come in and out and lots of lovely greenery. And architecturally, it totally suits the architectural style of our courtyard, of course, in Ealing. And then, of course, we have this magnificent fort for Castillon. We have City Palace for the Emperor, which is amazingly decorated, beautiful sort of gold embossed artwork in his main room. And then we have Kishnagar, where we are turning into downtown Delhi of 1795. One of our most stunning locations is the Beecham House Gardens. It's in a fabulous location in Samod, which is an hour from Jaipur. And these are very, very well organised, lovely gardens with fountains, and they work beautifully as Beecham House backyard, if you like. We were shooting a wonderful scene with Tom Bateman, who is cutting down some of the hedges.
There is not a single day that I miss being a soldier. And I miss the sweat.
During the scene when we shot, in one direction, everything looked amazing and we were very happy. And Neil's put a little bit of smoke in to make it look misty. What they didn't realise was above in the trees were about 3 or 4 beehives. And suddenly all the smoke brought these very angry bees out. And the whole set was sort of full of swarms of bees, like in animation. And everybody went running for cover like this. We had to stop filming, and everyone had cloths on them, and all the Indians were laughing. And a lot of people got stung. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but people did get stung. But I didn't realise what was going on because I was on my phone to England at the time. So I was just sat on my chair and I saw people running and I was like, what's going on? And everyone was going, move, move. But I was so engrossed in a phone call that I didn't even notice. And then I suddenly saw people getting covered in cloth and I was like, huh? And then someone said, bees! And then I legged it as well. But don't look from her to her.
I'll just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, I can understand it now. Let's just do it.
I know, I'm like that too.
Gurinder is a joy. I mean, she's an OBE, which sort of gives weight and gravitas, but she is the most playful, wonderful, imaginative, creative person I think I've ever met.
She's a force of nature. I can see how she's managed to get this whole project together because she's a big bundle of energy. She's great fun to work with and she's very creative and she listens to ideas all the time. It's a nice atmosphere. It's a really nice atmosphere to work in, yeah.
Totally unlike any other director I've ever worked with. Gurinder, she's such a strong character in herself and in the way that she works that she sort of keeps everybody on their toes and her passion is really infectious. And so I think everybody is very excited to be a part of it and to be working with her. She's sort of mad in a way, but there's a method to her madness.
Can we put someone up in that top corner dusting?
She sort of has this bottomless pit of energy. She's literally flying around the set, coming up with ideas. Every single time I imagine a scene being somewhere, she goes, nope, let's do it on the stairs. Let's go upstairs. Let's get it on the move. Let's incorporate more servants and characters coming in. It really keeps you on your toes, but also your imagination is infectious. You know, her imagination, it really is just sort of everyone's firing on all cylinders. And she's a delight, yeah.
My. What do we have here?
Beecham House is a metaphor for India, I think, and the melting pot, which has been India for the last few millennia.
I think Beecham House is an exploration of character and culture.
It's an exploration in how to be happy, in how much you fight for your freedom and your happiness, how you deal with grief, the shadows of the past affecting the present.
I think it has a level of historical authenticity, cultural authenticity, that is way above any kind of TV series. It is something different.
Beecham House is one of those shows where on a Sunday evening, you know, you settle down with the family to watch, you know, a great show that is entertaining, but also informative, but will also transport you not only to a different country, but also a different time. And so you can lose yourself in the morals of the time, the dilemmas of the time, and really feel like you have immersed yourself in that world and come out the other end. And that's all you can ask for, I think, from a great TV series.